Welcome to Joy of Business Radio, hosted by Joy of Business facilitators from around the world, with special shows from Simone Milicis, the founder and creator of Joy of Business. Are you bored or dissatisfied with your work or business? Joy of Business is an invitation to a completely new way of creating. Did you know your business and job can actually be fun and joyful? If what you are currently doing isn't working for you, listen into this show full of pragmatic tools from Access Consciousness, which change everything in business, from money to finance, staff, creativity, productivity, communication, and beyond. Joy of Business Radio, weekly on OMTimes Radio.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. This is Heather Nichols and Maggie Schlarb here this week with you, both Joy Business facilitators and mamas and people who love to move in the world and travel in the world and do all kinds of things. And we wanted to talk this week about creating a business that works for you. Hey, Maggie.
Hi. How are you this evening? Or this? Yeah.
Good. So creating a business that works for you. So we both have very full lives, very diverse lives. We both travel a lot all over the world, and we're both single moms, and we have kids, and we have very rowdy boys, actually.
Yes, very rowdy, especially when they're together.
And have both really just created business as an adventure, as an everyday adventure of living and doing what's fun for us and getting creative and, finding new ways of doing things and being in the world and making money and all of that kind of stuff. And I know Joy of Business has been such a huge contribution to both of our worlds as, taking the classes and playing with the tools and using the tools and also being facilitators of Joy of Business. And I know for me, one of the things that I love so much about these tools and this way of looking at the world, the sort of view about business, is that it really does include everything in your life. Like, it really does include your children. And, we were just laughing because I found out tonight that my son starts school tomorrow morning. I thought it started the day after tomorrow. Somebody told me. I think it was one of my kids that told me. But just like getting out of judgment of all of that and including all of that and like, okay, so does that fit into my schedule tomorrow? And, making it all like the whole sort of well-oiled machine of life and living and creation flow in a really beautiful way that changes every day and is different and is fun and juicy and creative and all of that. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, Heather, let me ask you this. Can you share with everybody how, because creating a business that works for you is ever evolving. It changes every day. And your kids are at a certain age where they are at school every day, and now my kiddo is too. Can you share, since you've been in business for over 20 years, how creating a business that works for you has evolved for you?
Oh my gosh, wow. Yeah, I mean, in every way. That's the short answer. So yeah, in every way. I didn't really get that I could actually do that. Like, for the longest time, before I found the tools of Access and Joy of Business, I didn't actually think that I could. I just sort of assumed that if I had a business, it would have to be a bit of an inconvenience in my world, because that's what business is it's an inconvenience, and sometimes it gets in the way of life. But when you're a good grown up and you're a good business person, you do what you need to do, and so even though I was creating my own business and I was I brought a lot of creativity to my business. Like I still had, I think, a sense of needing to prove that I was, that I was like doing business correctly by sort of like not letting myself, not allowing my business to be my life, and not letting myself create a business that really did work for me. So, I'm a good person. I'm a good business person, and that must mean I'm going to be successful because I fit myself into the box of this reality that tells me what I'm supposed to do. And it's funny, in talking about this, I'm just realizing now that a part of that was actually, like, I just really thought that I had to get it right in order to make the kind of money that I wanted to make, and in order to have the level of success that I wanted to have in my business. Like, I thought I had to to cross my T's and dot my I's correctly. And come to find out, the more I let go of that, the more money I make, the more fun I have, and it's so, everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. So, yeah, there's so many ways I could answer that question. What about you?
Well, as you know me, but everybody who's listening probably doesn't, it was this, I used to put so many different hats on, and like when one hat was on, the other hats weren't allowed to exist. So creating a business that works for me now really includes my kiddo. It includes when my parents are here to visit, that I have this really cool flexibility to look at my schedule and be like, oh, this is the day we're going to go and be in the mountains. And it's still part of my business, yet it works for me that I get to go and be in the mountains with my parents. And so there really isn't the separation. There's this flow of doing what works while getting everything done. And like you said, when I actually let go of that control that I love so much and really get into like, well, what's going to create the most here, the business grows and it works way better than when I'm forcing stuff. So that's one of the many ways it's evolved.
That's so cool. Yeah, it is amazing. Like, force is such a thing, in business. It's like you're really, like, that's how you make business happen, is by forcing it to happen, and actually getting out of that and into the, like, when I follow the energy and I do what's fun and I actually, like, allow myself to have a level of joy that, you're not really technically allowed to have.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually where for me, that's where my thriving business has really showed up more and more all the time, is with that, like, just giving myself the permission, like the space and the possibility to really, like, look at, like, every single day waking up and going, well, what does my business require of me today? And sometimes it is to go have an adventure in the mountains or travel or do something fun or, something that would be seemingly not business related. And sometimes it is like, wow, today I really need to sit at my computer for a good 12 hours, and that's actually fun too, if I allow it to be. And when you follow the energy, it is fun because it's like, that's what's alive, that's what's presenting it. Like, those are the activities and the energies that are presenting themselves, like, where there's some availability to create something. So.
And you I know the inside scoop. So you just did this in a program that you have going on right now with regards to business, which from my perspective, and you can speak to it, how the energy, like, there's an energy, and we speak a lot about energy and in the Joy of Business, you showed up for a call or a Facebook Live earlier than you had originally planned. Can you speak more to that?
5 hours earlier, to be exact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can always count on Heather to be there, even 5 hours early.
5 hours early, or 5 minutes late, either one. Or late, or than that even. But yeah, I was doing I was doing, actually the conversation was really about chaos. So I was doing a Facebook Live in a private group that I have for one of my programs. And I had scheduled it, and it was really weird to schedule it. Like I was like, I don't know when I'm going to do this. And but I needed to tell people to do it, but I don't know when I'm going to do it, but I need to tell people, but I have all this stuff going on, and I'm not sure. And like there wasn't any energy around the time. And I kept telling myself, like, well, I need to find a time for this so I can give people advance notice so they can know when they want to join me on the Facebook Live and watch the video live, even though it's there, it's available anytime once I start it. So I just sort of picked a somewhat arbitrary time to do it based on the schedule of the day. And then that morning it was like, it's time to do it right now. It's time to do this video right now because there's something popping. And so I did. And I talked about chaos and how, because when you follow the energy with your business and you really work with the whole picture of your life and living in what you'd like to that, there is a non-predictability to that is really dynamic and not of this reality and not ordered the way the business is supposed to be. That actually, that's a conversation we've been having in Access for about the past year, this chaos conversation, and it's opened up so much in my world of just, like, it's really, really dynamically changed my business to allow myself to create with chaos. It's so different than the order that we think we have to have when it comes to business. And order doesn't actually work for most people. So,
I know, even though sometimes we think we love it. Yeah. So we have about 50 seconds before our break. What kind of cliffhanger can we leave them on with, like, creating a business that works for you?
Well, what if you decided what type of business and what way of doing business have you decided does work for you that actually might not work for you? Because if you're not in the question around that, and you're in a decision or a computation or a conclusion, there's a whole lot of possibility that you eliminate from those decisions. And that's the order that we were just talking about. So we're not used to this format where, like, at some point they're going to just start talking over us.
Yeah. So I wonder if you're listening right now, like, I wonder, like, what's going on in your business, in your life that you've decided works for you because you've just decided it works for you. Someone has told you it's supposed to work that way. And would you be willing to look at it and go, ask the question, does this actually work? And if it doesn't, start to ask the question of, like, well, what else is possible here?
We're going to a break.
And here we go on that cliffhanger.
No one needs to have a money problem, especially you.
Yeah, did you hear that? You have an unlimited and mostly unaccessed capacity to create money and a financial reality that works for you. Simone Milasas has a brand new book. It's called Getting Out of Debt Joyfully. And right now, when you go to gettingoutofdebtjoyfully.com, if you pre-order the book, you'll get a free online course. What if you can create money in ways no one else can? Just go to gettingoutofdebtjoyfully.com to get your copy today.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Aloha, my name is Jennifer O'Neill, and I'd like to invite you to come join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time for my show, Spirit Chat. Spirit Chat focuses on simplifying the process of using the spiritual tools and gifts you were born with in a way that fits into your everyday life. I also teach different techniques that will help you learn how to navigate the spirit realm and empower you on your own spiritual journey. So join me this Wednesday as I guide you through the spirit world.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Welcome back. This is Heather Nichols and Maggie Schlarb here, and we are talking this week about creating a life and a business that works for you. Maggie, I have some questions for you. Well, we did have a cliffhanger, didn't we? Do we want to stay with the cliffhanger, or?
Well, I think the cliffhanger was a beautiful space to just leap from. We can go.
Okay, just cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you some questions because you've gone through, I've seen you go through a lot of changes in your life since you started playing with these tools. And, you know, you've basically gone from not like really just wanting to have a business and being a mom of a baby and being married and that being more of your what you do, you know, how you spent your time, to, you know, totally changing your whole world and now being a single mom and, you know, creating a really awesome business and becoming a joy business facilitator, and an access consciousness facilitator. So what are some of you are constantly creating and crafting this business that works with your life and dynamically evolving it with some big changes. So talk about that. Like, what do you want to share with people about that?
Wow, that's a big question because even in this moment right now, in the last week and a half or even month, I've really been looking at, okay, well, what I had been creating isn't working as well as it was before, right? Because so everything in my world is changing. Like you said, I was, you know, when I met you, well, not when I met you, but when I started playing with Access, I had a hobby. And it became a business shortly thereafter. I started playing with you and your programs and with Access Consciousness. And so it became this ever evolving, okay, like what, now it's more clearer and clearer. But it became this, okay, well, what does work? And as soon as I stopped taking off those hats I was speaking about earlier on and allowing everything to be a contribution, my world would open up. And then now that I'm a single mom, I have my kid half the time. So now I have this new way of functioning of creating what works for me because I don't need to be home half of the time. So I really map out my business, and I don't really map it out, but I have this greater awareness of, okay, what's coming up and where would I like to go and create in the world when I don't have my kid and when I have my kid. So it's been this ever evolving of, well, where would my business like to be and what would it like to be? And in this moment, after becoming a Joy of Business facilitator, it's dynamically changing in such an awesome way. And there's actually a lot more, and not that, like, you have, like, in my point of view, there's freedom available. It's just choice. And since becoming a Joy of Business facilitator, which it's only been 2 months, there is a lot more freedom in my world to create and choose and structure is the wrong word, but to create my day in a way from the question you spoke about is like, where's my attention required? And so like today, my day was like, up and at 'em, doing some work, and then going and doing errands, and then work, and then my kid was home, and we did science experiments, and it's this beautiful creation that nothing is right or wrong. It just is, and everything contributes to the greater picture.
I love that. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and it's so cool. I like marvel at these tools and just how they work, like it's just so cool. It's kind of like something I never tire of seeing. Just like how much when you do use the tools and follow and do, your life, like what your life is asking for and create from that space, like things just flourish like so dynamically. And it's cool to talk to you about this because I've seen you go through this whole process,
Yeah, and the other thing I actually wanted to add, because I know you knew me in my days of like suffering and like just working through stuff. Not that I don't put myself through a mini sufferfest here and there, but like when I began my business, it was like this. Okay, I can make this work. I can have my kid like all but 2 5-hour like days and make the business work. Whereas flash forward to today, I know I have facilitators training in Costa Rica next week, and months ago I said, hey, Mom and Dad, can you come and be with Felix? Because I didn't know whether or not Felix is dad. I had the awareness but didn't have that concrete answer. I had a feeling that he wasn't going to be around, and I would have been up a creek without a paddle. But what I've created is like this awareness of, oh, I need someone to take care of Felix. This is months down the road. Who can I ask? And now they're here just like to support me. I've set up incredible systems to support a business that works for me.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of your other favorite tools from Joy Business, like that you use all the time?
Well, I do definitely use the where's my attention required today. And then when I'm creating, it's like what will create the most here? And those questions of like if it's a specific creation, it's starting to ask like what is required here? Because sometimes we can get caught up in the like, oh well, I need a Facebook page and I need a landing page and I need a payment page and we get ourselves bogged down in all of that. And what I love about the Joy Business Tools is actually asking, like, what is required here? And some creations just require a quick little snippet, and some creations require a whole process. And so I love asking those questions as to what is required here. And the other thing that's a newer one that I've put into question, which I'm sure I've heard it before, but I finally heard it, is like if I choose this, what possibilities will it create? And not from like the conclusion, but from the awareness of what shows up when I ask that question, and then just choose from there.
That's so cool. I love that. So what else do you
I
want to
know,
talk
and
about?
I was like, and you, like, because you've been, like, you were one of the first Joy of Business facilitators. You were one of 2 originally in the United States when you first took your Joy of Business, and you also, I'm like, I'm going to brag about Heather. You also, because you went and put a whole bunch on, like you put 10 or more Joy Business classes on your schedule as soon as or before you became a Joy Business facilitator. So you know this stuff inside and out. What are your favorite tools?
I really do. I use it. I mean, well, and this is interesting. Like I would say actually, for anybody out there who's a facilitator, whether it's an access facilitator or anything else, but I actually think that facilitating this stuff is it's been such a huge gift for me. I was just looking at this recently where it was like, gosh, a few years ago, I actually made a demand to facilitate every day because I love facilitating every day. Like those are my favorite conversations to be having, like this conversation we're having right now, to me that counts as part of facilitating, like just talking about possibilities and the tools of access and what we can create. And so I just asked the question, what would it take for me to facilitate every day? And really left it very open-ended of like how that might look. I didn't have a point of view of what that was supposed to look like. And so there's just been something so cool about, because every time I facilitate other people or I have these conversations, I think myself to use the tools a lot more, because if I'm sharing a tool with somebody, I'm also reminding myself about that same tool. And it's like, oh, wow, right, yeah, I could be using this a lot more. I could be doing a lot more with this tool. I could be, incorporating it a lot more into my everyday. So that's just been like, not even like technically a tool, but in a way, such an amazing tool for the energy and continuing to create a business that works for me. I'm willing for it to be very different every day. I'm willing for it to show up really different every day. And I also get that, when it's not different, like it's sort of like, huh, like almost a little bit of like, well, what needs to change here, because, nobody really likes doing the same thing over and over. And so, yeah, that's sort of a roundabout response.
Yeah.
But sitting in that foundation of creation, really.
Yeah, which brings me to the question of, we talk about targets in Joy Business and Access. So when things are different every day, yet you are on this, like, you have targets, right? So can you, speak to that? I'm just going to throw you under the bus. Can you speak to that?
When you have targets?
When you have, so you have targets, and in this reality, business is this is the target. This is step 1, 2, 3, and 4 to get to the goal is what it would be called, right? But we speak about more targets because it's a goal is an endpoint. A target is that or something greater. And yet there can be this linearity thing that our brains want to go into of step A, B, and C is going to get me to here. Yet if your day is different, it will not be an A, B, C. It'll be a Z, X, R, A, D, whatever it may be, right?
5, 2.
5.
Really.
Other sound. Kitty cat.
Arrow. Okay. And on that note.
Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Tune in to the Practical Intuitive, Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World with me, host Robin Fritz, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern. I'll cover personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life regression, shamanic insights, energy healing, soul choice, and more, all to help you tap your own intuitive and healing skills. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Putting the fun back in business. Wake up, go to work, come home, watch TV, go to bed, repeat. Business, work, your job. Hate it, bored, want to leave it? Or business, work, your job, fun, play, joy, fun. Which would you like to choose? You may not know this, but business, your job, work can actually be fun. Shake up your business routine. Check out my 3-part free video series on putting the fun back in business. Go to accessjoybusiness.com/fun and put the fun back in business.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Heather Nichols and Maggie Schlarb, and we're here this week talking about creating a business that works for you. Before we got cut off, we were talking about swirls and numbers and letters and the randomity of creation, and how being random and creating creating in a non-linear way can actually create, actualize the targets that you have with your life and business. So what else were you going to say or ask about that, Maggie?
Well, I wanted to ask you about that because it's I guess maybe what we can talk about or you can speak to is targets, and then the space of we are already talking about it, and the space of being in that randomity of aiming for the target and beyond, without having to be in the linearity of the solidity of having to be at a certain place by a certain time, and how it's not necessarily how, but can you speak to that? I'll just leave it at that and see where you go from there. Since you just landed from Europe, we'll give you a doozy to talk about.
Oh my goodness. Well, I guess I would just bring in the quantum entanglements, actually. Really, that's, to me, so we talk about creating from question, choice, possibility, and contribution. In Access Consciousness, those are the elements of creation. And I would say really the primary tools that I use in creating my life and business every day, for sure, and the tools that I've really cultivated and nurtured and expanded more and more and more all the time. And that's, a big part of what we do with Joy of Business. And I would say really any area, because I facilitate lots of different stuff, and it a lot of times comes back to that. Asking questions, choosing something different, playing with new possibilities and receiving contribution, being a contribution and receiving contribution from the universe. And anytime you ask a question, you're literally enlisting the quantum entanglements of the universe to start to create on your behalf. And that's total randomity. That's totally random. The quantum entanglements are basically the creative energies of the universe that can go to work on your behalf. And it's almost if you have to rearrange something, if you've ever redone your house or rearranged your furniture in your house, you might have a particular arrangement of your furniture, and you know that you want to make it different, and so you move it around, and it's really crazy, and it looks like crap, and there's furniture everywhere, and there's dust everywhere, and there's stuff everywhere, and then it settles into a new arrangement, right? So that would sort of be a tangible way of looking at the quantum entanglements. When you ask a question, the whole universe goes, cool, great, let's create that, and starts rearranging stuff in the world, in your life, in other people's lives, so that what you're asking for can actually be. It can be created, and it can be contributed to you. But it doesn't ever look like you think it's going to, and it doesn't have an order to it. It is a random thing, and so, and I guess just to dive a little bit more into that conversation of following the energy is trusting and knowing that the quantum entanglements are sort of at work on your behalf, so to speak, that you're at work on your behalf with whatever you're asking for and whatever you're choosing, and going, oh my God, I have no idea how I would create a business that actually really worked for me, where I could be a mom and I could include my kids and I could, blah, 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 blah. But I'm going to, and I'm going to ask for it and I'm going to show up and I'm going to choose and I'm going to, continue to play with these random energies. Even this summer, like I literally just today landed from a summer, literally an entire summer of travel, and took my kids on a bunch of trips, took them to Europe, took them all over. Like I had probably so many flights this summer. And at the beginning of the summer, I remember going, wow, I'm looking at it was probably like a $15,000 travel budget for my summer for the flights and the hotels and the everything. And, and it was like, I had never chosen something like that before. And I was just like, well, I know how this works. I can ask questions. I can choose it. I can play with following the energy, even when it doesn't make sense and it seems random. And, I ask a question and I get, it's time to go have a glass of wine or go for a hike or go get my toes painted or go sit at my computer for 18 hours or whatever. And I created it. It was like I never doubted that I would create the trips that I wanted to create this summer and everything else. But I knew that I had to really be random and follow those, like the whispers of creation going, well, if you do this now, then, you're participating with the quantum entanglements when you do that rather than making it harder for the universe to contribute to you. So that's my long-winded response.
I love it. It's awesome. And it's been so fun to watch you create that. I'm like, I'll have that.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, for, looking at creating a business that works for you, it's like watching you do that. It's been like, from my perspective and knowing you, I get the inside scoop, has been like so much ease because you've been willing to be random. So thank you for showing me that.
Yeah, totally. Well, and like I said, it's like it's pragmatic, and it's a bit of an adjustment, like choosing to create from that space because it doesn't make any sense. But it is a practical, like I now know that when I follow the energy and I'm willing to be random and chaotic and all of that stuff, it actually, it works way better. Like I will actually get what it is that I'm asking for, rather than, like the need and the necessity to control, to think that I'm going to get what I'm asking for. Well, I've done that enough times when it hasn't worked, just to know that, like, why would I, like I actually really do desire to have the things that I'm asking for. And this shit works, so I may as well use it.
Might as well. Yeah. So we have, I think we have a couple more minutes before our next break because it's a little bit random as we're speaking about. And like what other tools do you have, and I wonder what I can come up with too, that would give people the awareness to look at what works for you? Because I know, like as you had asked before, for me, I didn't even know I could choose something that works for me. I just thought I had to like work through stuff.
Yeah. Well, what changed for you? I mean, I've seen you like discover that, that you can, and more all the time.
Yeah. Like what did change for me? I know, like, I think the more I chose and the more I trusted me, that it did show up. And one of the main things was actually choosing for me, allowed like me to see. I thought that like being like, when I became a wife and when I became a mom, it was like, oh, those are my roles and that comes first. And I somehow left the equation. Me, Maggie, somehow left. And like more and more as I built that muscle, and I realized that choosing for me actually creates more everywhere else. And then the more I choose, the more choice I see is available. so that I can create what works, because I don't even know what would work for me. I didn't even know that I was allowed to look at that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's like that whole idea of like shopping for realities, where you just start to look around and go, oh, wait, okay, I could do that, and I could do that, and I could have that, and I could choose that, and wow, I never realized I could, just looking around the world, looking around at other people that inspire you and going, wow, okay, cool. So if I were to choose that, like, what would that be like for me? What would, what else could I choose along those lines? And that's such a cool, I know for me, that's just opened up even more awareness of what, not to like mimic other people's lives, but actually just to stimulate creative ideas and creative requests, in a way, like asking different questions of the universe than I would have normally asked.
Yeah, and before we get, I hope we're about to get cut off, I think, but like one of the things that I actually put on my window with a dry erase marker was, what is my reality? So I would see it every day and just ask, not to like actually have to sing it, but be in the question of, well, what is my reality? And we could tweak it to like, what is my reality with business? What is my reality with my body? Whatever it might be. But the continual, I thought almost every day when I was home, is what is my reality? And without having like a linear plan, more and more I'm like, oh, this is my reality. Oh, and then we add this to this. And then, oh, it actually like people just like assist in promoting my stuff without me even asking because they think I'm great. Like that's my reality. And that question, like just what you're speaking about, like asking that question and then acknowledging afterwards of like, oh, cool, this is my reality. And that's actually not, quote unquote, normal. And that's what I've created for myself. And the more I acknowledge that and see that, the more, we come back to the choice. The more choice there is, the more possibility there is, the more questions I'm asking, the more I'm a contribution to the world. And you get those elements of creation just working on, like not even working, they're working for me with the quantum entanglement.
Yes.
Yes.
Love it. I love it. I keep waiting for the guy to come in and start talking.
I know. The last one was 11 and a half minutes, and now we're past 13. How does it get better than that?
Here we go.
Yeah.
Right on cue. We'll be back in a minute.
What do you hate about business? And do you want to change it? If you don't want to change anything about your job or business, stop listening. You're all good. If you'd like to have money just for the fun of it and stop the negative self-talk, check out Joy of Business. This is about knowing what you know about business and creating more than you can imagine. Access Joy of Business 101 classes offered around the world. Go to accessjoybusiness.com/101.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Hello, I'm Lisa Berry. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for Light on Living, a chance to see new, hear different, and feel more as I shine the spotlight on all the ways to lighten the load of life's challenges. Light on Living is your link to that new way you're looking for, that new understanding that will enhance your life, and that positive connection that will support your growth. So join me, and you'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Nichols and Maggie Schlarb, and we are having some fun conversations here about creating a business and a life and all that works for you. In our last little bit here, Maggie, what last pieces do we want to leave people with? What else?
What else? I know I was looking at, because I can almost hear some brains thinking, well, give me the steps. And I the step is to start asking questions and being curious about what can I choose and what can I create and what is my reality and beyond, not before, but beyond what my mind can even conjure up, or you can conjure up, what are you open to what is possible? Because what if the business that you think or decided you have to do, it could work, but it might be a lot of work. And would you be willing to open up to the possibility of I could actually create an international business and travel the globe? Or maybe you like more of a brick and mortar and play with what is possible and know that you can choose, and then you can choose again. Nothing is ever solid or concrete. You can keep choosing and choose towards the continual growth of what works even greater and greater and greater for you.
Brilliant. Brilliantly put. So true. Yeah, and there's always more, I'm constantly wondering what else I could choose that I haven't considered, what else I could ask for that I haven't considered. And even, I know for me in the beginning it was more, there were just more problems that I, thought I needed to solve. There was more of I need to create more money. I need to create more ease with my parenting. I need to create, more people in my business, all this stuff, this reality sort of stuff that we all, ask for. And, absolutely, of course we ask for more money and more, ease and all of that. And I it's when you get to the point where there aren't really problems anymore, and it's oh, okay, cool. So, and that's been my reality lately. And it's okay, so I do have a life in the business that works for me. And what would it take for it to work for me even more? What else could I choose that I'm not even aware of now? And what else could I be asking for? And what greater contribution can I be? And what more can I receive that I've never considered? And what's been so cool for me is it's really out of the problem solver sort of mentality in a way with that, and into the no, this is just the creative adventure of creating my life and living every day, is asking for more, choosing more, being more, stepping into more. It's an adventure every day. So why not have an adventure every day rather than, deciding somewhere that I have gotten my life right, how boring is that? As soon as you decide you've gotten it right, then you're done pretty much.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So what works for you is actually play and fun and, adventure and and it, like Maggie said, it's going to be different for everybody. But what if what works for you is not a fixed reality?
Yeah, absolutely. And how many questions can you start asking and really allow yourself to ask and not go into what it's supposed to be or what it has to be, but that what really has worked for me is following that split-second awareness of, we call it lightness, of knowing that I followed that. And then I say in the question, because when we decide that one whisper is it, that can stop us up too. But staying in that curiosity and question of, well, what else truly possible here? And what else can I create? And that, for me, is like the curiosity piece and the adventure is really what I love to invite people to. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yes, it is way more fun. And it again, it works.
It works. And that adventure thing, too, because I've been writing actually a lot about adventure. And adventure doesn't have to be 30 miles in the wilderness. Adventure can be going to the grocery store. Adventure can be going on an airplane ride. Adventure could be the adventure of navigating what needs to be done on your computer. It's what's kind of behind, like the wind beneath your wings, in a sense, that invites more adventure.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah.
So what else we have a couple more minutes. What else could we, like, I
always love to invite people to just, what if everything that you've decided that you can't have, that is not possible, actually is possible in your life and in your business? Like, what business have you decided that you can't have and you can't create and you could never possibly have? That if you just started asking for it, would change everything. That's been a huge part of what's changed my business this year, even, is asking for stuff that I was like, I have no idea how I will create this, but I know that I will, because I can create anything with these tools. And it's been so cool to see what has shown up and what's changed and you know, what I've become aware of in that time. So, yeah, what if you could just start asking and knowing that the universe has your back? And you can have your back, you know. When you have your back, the universe has your back.
Yeah.
So I know we both have some upcoming classes and fun business offerings. When's your next Joy of Business class?
There's tentatively one at the very end of August, so we can check back. But then I have this 3-part series that's 3 different specialty classes of the Joy of Business, and the series is called Making Bank.
Nice. I love it.
And it includes the 7 easy ways to make money, getting out of your own way with business and money, and then creating your own financial reality. So that starts this September 7th, 14th, and 21st. You can do them individually or as the whole Making Bank series.
So cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and then directly after that is a telecall for Joy Business. So that's what's on the forecast in this 10 seconds. What about you, Heather?
I also have a Joy Business telecall coming up in September, starting on the 11th. And it's 5 days in a row, like one day, 4 days of calls. Boom, 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 Joy Business 101. So, yeah, and you can find both of us on the Access Joy of Business website and the Access Conference website. And we also, Maggie and I both work together on a month business creation intensive that I've created, that Maggie's been part of over the past 3 years, called the Generative Business Pod. Intensive of, you know, weekly conversations, and sometimes even more frequent than that, around really incorporating the tools of access in your business and living the tools, you know, really living the tools as a way of creating your life and living. And Maggie's part of that. She's facilitating some stuff in that program, and that actually starts at the beginning of September. So that you can find more info about at heathernichols.com/businesspods. So lots of fun stuff coming up.
And I will say, with regards to the Generative Business Pods, now I have the pleasure of facilitating, but my choice to be in those pods was the beginning of the end of the hobby and the beginning of a really awesome business.
Yes. Maggie took a leap 3 years ago. And has been part of it ever since. It's been really cool. Really, really cool. Yeah. So, yeah, whatever you do, don't have any fun creating your life and creating your business, and don't choose things that would be really awesome, and use the tools and ask the questions. And yeah, I know for both of us, you know, if we look back a few years ago, it was like, wow, really, really different than it is now. And these tools work. So
they do. They do.
Yeah.
And did you want to mention anything, because I'm going to mention it, anything about your Nurture series, the business polls? We have a couple more minutes, and do you want to speak to that too, just so that they have a plethora of choices? We've got about 2 minutes, depending on when the music comes on. We got 2 minutes.
Right. 1, 2, 30 seconds. Yeah, go for it.
Actually, I'll just speak to it. So Heather has these, and you can still join. We're on day 6, I believe, and this airs Monday, so you're still able to join us. So it's business polls, and one of the ways you can create your business is by energetically bringing people in. And it's every day we get to meet with Heather, and she shares some tool to invite us to put into practice, and then we energetically invite those energies and tools in to expand our businesses. And it really is like creating from the space of creating a business that works for you. So if any of this piques your interest, that you can get that at heathernichols.com/business polls. And whatever you do, don't listen to this again because it's way too much fun. And don't use the tools because you might have a business that works for you.
That would be bad.
That would be very bad. Very bad. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what else is possible that you've never considered? What grand and glorious adventures can you have today? And on that note, we will leave you with a big high five and